fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunched Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Erislandy Lara and Jermell Charlo. Jermell Charlo and Erislandy Lara are in place, says the WBC president, Jose Sulaiman. He says that Jermell Charlo submitted a request to make a voluntary defense against WBA regular junior middleweight champion Erislandy Lara. The WBA super champion, 154 pounds, in Jason Rosario, who recently upset Julian Williams to capture the title. Charlo and Lara are former training partners. We know that with Ronnie Shields. Of course, him and his brother Jermall were all trained by Ronnie Shields. But as of late, Jermell has been trained by Errol Spence's trainer, Derek James. Okay, so he's left the coop. I don't know if Jermell has actually sparred with Lara, but if he hasn't, he's definitely seen Lara and what Lara can do. You know, I believe he has, but I could be wrong. I know Jermall has definitely, because I saw the tapes on those guys sparring. It was quite interesting. If you want to see boxing versus a boxer puncher in action, that would be something to view. In fact, I'll find it and put it in the description box, let you guys check it out. The fight is very interesting because it's so close to home. Okay, you still have Ronnie Shields is with Jermall and with Lara. I believe he's still with Lara. And Lara is 26-3-3-15. You know, and he's crazy. He's 1-1-1 in his last 3 fights. And that just shows you how fickle the super welterweight division is. If we look at what's going on there, we look at the fight at hand, we look at Jermell, he wants to make a voluntary defense. Now, something about that kind of makes me suspicious, because I'm thinking to the point, these guys, I know they're friends, they're close, they support each other, but I know Erislandy Lara is what, 35, 36 now? He is 36, yeah. And his birthday is actually, he'll be 37. You know, he'll be 37 pretty soon. So I think what's happening in this situation, since it's a voluntary, I can understand if it was something that's a mandated thing, but this is a voluntary. I think Jermell is trying to now take that step where he didn't want to step before, honestly. You know, I look at that where you got a guy that's 36, and I didn't know he was that close to Golovkin's age, honestly. He is a very difficult fighter to face. He had a lot of controversial fights, the Paul Williams, the Canelo, the Jarrett Hurd. Even though he went down in the Jarrett Hurd fight, Jarrett Hurd said, "I haven't ever been hit with someone that hard. No homo." He's had to say that, okay? But he was trying to say that Erislandy Lara, despite his age, was a very tough customer, you know? And a lot of people wanted to steer away from fighting someone like that, okay? But he is getting older, so we can't make no excuses for that, okay? And we can't overlook that, you know. And I know Erislandy Lara was very elusive. A lot of people called him a runner, but one thing about Erislandy Lara, he's a pure boxer. And you get a pure boxer and then you get a boxer puncher together, it could be a nightmare, okay? Because we've seen Jermell Charlo at this point. We've seen him be outboxed, okay? Tony Harrison outboxed this guy. He outboxed him and he used his jab. And if somebody like Tony Harrison can do it, Erislandy Lara can definitely do it the way he does it. So it'll be one of those situations where, if this is true, because, you know, the WBC president says, hey, they petitioned for it, not to know it'll go through. I would like to see it, though. Why? Because Erislandy Lara, he got the real bad end of the stick, right? When he wanted to rematch Jarrett Hurd in that close fight. And Jarrett Hurd didn't really want any piece of that. He didn't want to go back down that road. But obviously so. Because someone like Lara If he fights Lara again, Lara's better in rematches. That's why Canelo didn't want to fight Lara. They didn't want to get in. They didn't want to get in there with a guy that difficult because he's not going to give you anything. He's not going to throw a bunch of punches to leave himself open. He's going to hit you with 1, 2, 3 at a time, and that's it. He might go as far as hit you with 4, but a pure boxer like Lara, he will give you fits. His defense is tight. He has long arms. He can touch you from afar. And Jermell Charlo is a kind of guy, he wants you and he depends on you and he needs you to be reckless in order to get punches, those big punches off. Now, one thing Jermell does have, he has punching power. He can hurt you. Him and his brother do have serious punching power at that weight class. Okay, but if we're looking at punch for punch and skill for skill, Erislandy Lara is that guy that could give you fits. And I think they're maybe picking Lara at this point because he's almost 37, okay? The 11th of April of this year, he'll be 37 years of age. That's actually at age 35, some people 30, okay? Your testosterone starts to decline. As long as Lara's been fighting, you know, he's been in what, 32 fights, right? And that's not to mention how many fights he's been in when he was an amateur, forced to fight as an amateur in Goa, right? So that adds more to that. So I've noticed he's starting to slow down. You know, I seen him in his last fight, and he fought to a draw against an undefeated fighter. But that just shows you the type of competition you're dealing with. He's not just this guy, Brian Castaño, okay? He did beat Ramon Alvarez. Yeah, that's right. He did knock out Ramon in 2 rounds, right? Yeah, 2 rounds. So, you know, and that was Canelo's brother. So that was like his claim to fame. He got his revenge by beating his brother. He thought he could lure Canelo out, but Canelo was, He didn't want none of that. Still, to this day, he didn't want none of Erislandy Lara, okay? But Jermell Charlo, I got to take my hat off to him if he wants that fight, you know, because, again, I would rather that be a couple years ago, but there are killers in that division. You still have Tony Harris. You still have J-Rock, believe it or not. I mean, he's kind of chinny. He's suspect now, but he can still fight, okay? Because he took Jarrett Hurd out, okay? And Jarrett Hurd was supposed to be this indestructible, tall, big juggernaut force in that weight class, but he took him out nonetheless, okay? And he avoided that Lara rematch. But it just shows you the karma that's in the sport of boxing, okay? You know, Jermell Charlo, he's got out of that war, that saga with Tony Harrison, and that was very entertaining. But now he thinks he's going to take on his country, his schoolmate, Erislandy Lara. I got to see it to believe it. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think about Jermell Charlo taking on Erislandy Lara for the WBA regular and the WBC super. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunched. Peace.